What's up everybody, Greg here with Lensprotogo and Lens Rentals, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the Laowa 15mm f2.0 0D or zero distortion. And we're going to check out that claim in this video along with some of the other features of this lens and compare it against some of the other competitors out there. If you haven't checked out the other video I did on the Laowa 24mm probe lens, I'll throw a link to it up above. Definitely check that out. It is one super cool lens, and hopefully this one lives up to that Laowa family and is going to offer some really unique perspectives. Now diving into it and taking a look at the build, it's made of a completely metal housing, including the hood. You can hear slide right on there. It's super solid and durable. It comes in just over 1 pound. It's 1.1 pounds. The diameter of the front barrel is 3 inches and the length of the entire thing is only 3.5 inches. So super small and compact for a 15mm f2, which is a super fast wide angle lens. And it is a fully manual lens, giving you about 100 degrees of rotation for your focus ring. You also have a declicked or clicked aperture, depending on what you want. There's a little switch on it, which allows you to jump between clicked aperture or declicked if you're doing video. On the front of the lens, there is a 72mm filter thread, so you can throw on any sort of CPLs, Variant Ds, UV, or protective filters right on the front of this lens with no problems. You don't have to worry about the lens bulging out and hitting those filters. This lens also has some really nice macro capabilities, allowing you to get 2:1 reproduction ratio for the magnification, and has a close focus distance of just under 6 inches. This lens being 3.5 inches plus a little bit of the camera, you're able to put an item or your subject about 1.5 to 2 inches in front of this lens and get them in focus, which gives a really unique perspective and look with the 15mm wide angle. And currently it is only set up for mirrorless cameras and comes in a Sony E-mount. Now jumping into some of the optics, which I know you're probably curious about, and the big claim of zero distortion. Now I have to agree with that to some extent. There is no barrel distortion, so any curvature on the edges, but you do definitely get some stretching when you put your subjects towards the edge of the frame. It is a super wide lens and that's going to happen, but it is rectilinear, so all of your vertical lines will stay vertical all the way out to the edges. As for the sharpness test, wide open at an f2, it's pretty decent in the center, but it definitely falls off towards the edges. And as you stop down to an f2.8, a lot of that clears up, and then down to an f4, you're gonna have a pretty sharp image across the entire frame. And then the last thing optically that we're gonna look at is the bokeh. Now it's only a 7-bladed aperture, so you're not gonna get super circular bokeh, but being a 15mm with an f2 aperture at its widest, you're definitely gonna get some nice blurring and depth from a wide angle lens like this, which you don't normally see, so it can give some really unique perspectives. Now as for some of its competitors, it's really only in the mirrorless world. You can't get this on DSLRs. So some of the other options out there is the Rokinon 14mm f2.8. So it's a little bit wider, it's a millimeter wider, but it's a stop slower than this lens. The other one is the Voigtlander 15mm, which is the exact same focal length as this, but that's a 4.5, an f4.5, which is quite a bit slower than this lens. The only other lens out there that beats the Laowa 15mm f2 is the Sigma 14mm f1.4. So you have a millimeter wider and a third of a stop faster aperture. The only downside is you're gonna have to pay for it in more ways than one. First is the price. It's almost double the price at $1,600, where the Laowa comes in at $850. You're also gonna have to pay in terms of weight and size. The Sigma 14mm f1.8 is almost 6.5 inches long with a 4-inch barrel diameter, and it also comes in 2.5 times heavier than the Laowa. So you're gonna pay with space and weight as well as a higher price tag. The one nice thing that the 14mm f1.8 has is autofocus, which the Laowa obviously doesn't. It's a completely manual lens. With the 14mm, you also don't get to use any filters, so you're gonna have to have a matte box or some other setup to be able to put it on this lens, where you can use any filters that are 72mm with the Laowa lens. Optically, between these two lenses, it's pretty close, and honestly, I was really surprised with how well the Laowa held up, and in some cases, I actually think it did a little bit better than the Sigma. In center sharpness, they're pretty much identical, and when you go out to the edges, the Sigma actually has a little bit more soft focus on those edges, so I might have to give the edge to Laowa with this. And in terms of size, weight, and flexibility with being able to use a filter on it, the 15mm Laowa definitely outperforms the Sigma. Some things to remember when you go to try out this lens is that it is fully manual. You're not going to have any autofocus with it. You have a 72mm front filter thread, and currently it only comes in Sony E-mount for their mirrorless systems. I have talked to Laowa, and they plan on releasing this lens for the EOS R with the RF mount, as well as the Nikon Z mount, which should be coming pretty soon. If you want to learn some more about this lens or try it out for yourself, check out the links in the description down below. If you have any more questions about it that I didn't answer in this video, make sure to leave those in the comments. Also, make sure to check out the Laowa 24mm probe video, which I'll throw up here and in the description down below. If you guys enjoy this type of video and you want to see more just like it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for new videos every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.